We're here to bring real solutions to real problems affecting real people today. With your support, you can join us in becoming part of the solution and a part of this movement.
Folks, welcome back to America Matters. I'm your host, Leo Zacky. We're here at Freedom Fest. I'm here with Thomas Quiter. Thomas, what brings you to Freedom Fest, brother?
We're here because our documentary debuted at the Anthem Film Festival this morning. It got pretty good reaction. We're very hopeful for the way it goes forward. We're submitted to, I think, 5 or 6 more film festivals, and people are already asking to screen it at universities and other nonprofit organizations that are in the same realm.
That's fantastic. So tell us about what you're doing with your mobility organization.
So what we're seeking to do is to create open hardware designs for durable medical equipment. You might know it as wheelchairs, walkers, this, that, or the other thing. Any equipment that assists someone with a physical disability. And what that does is automatically create the right to repair. Because there's no protections against the knowledge. And that's the important thing, right? Knowledge is power, sharing is caring. When you share knowledge, you share the power to care. And our healthcare systems and our other regulatory systems combined have created this effect where most of us cannot get equipment that gets us out of our homes. And if it does get us outside of our homes and it breaks down outside of the home, they won't repair it, you've voided your warranty.
Really?
Yes.
So essentially, the equipment, the way they have it set up, it keeps you essentially a prisoner in your own home.
For many people, yes.
That's terrible.
It does get worse.
It always can get worse.
So they also fit you for the wheelchair. And if that fitting is bad, it can cause more burden on the healthcare system. I've run into paraplegics that needed to have surgery because the poor fit messed up their circulatory system in their legs.
Oh my God.
I advocated for a veteran in the Army who lost his legs later in life after service to sepsis, right? He was diabetic. He came down with a viral infection, and the two combined at that age put him in a coma. Well, they put him in a coma to serve.
Medically induced, yeah.
Yeah. And he woke up in that coma with sepsis so bad that his insurance company paid $1 million to cut off his legs. And they're required to because it's life-threatening. It is not technically life-threatening to not have a wheelchair. They're technically allowed to put him through a 2-year appeals process.
What's he supposed to do for 2 years?
Well, what do you think happens to a diabetic with no legs who is bedridden for 2 years?
You're probably going to wind up with a lot of bed sores and other health issues.
He died from that.
No help?
Died. Yeah.
Just
what help?
Nobody came.
Right, so that's a misnomer. We think that all of these systems...
Well, because I'm sure they were slow to pay out too.
Right, but we think that our systems just automatically and effectively and immediately give help. And they don't. It's a process that takes months, if not years. And in that time, you could gain weight. You can gain other adjunct disorders. You proliferate the lack of health as things continue to decline. And the problem with that is it costs more afterwards to address all of those issues than it would to just give someone an appropriate piece of equipment.
Now, the fact that, because you mentioned repair earlier as the big issue, and you've mentioned that California has made it illegal for folks to actually go after the repair.
And so that's already been illegal nationwide. California passed a right to repair bill for DME or durable medical equipment, but what they did, because NCART, a lobbying organization, they piecemealed out the chair. You can repair it except for the controller, except for the wheels, except for the frame, until there's no wheelchair left.
Well, how does that make sense? I mean, all these things work in unison to actually make these pieces of equipment function for folks.
Well, the way our legislation tends to work these days, we're lucky that that same piece of legislation didn't make it illegal to own a dog.
Wow.
I mean, it all gets so convoluted. so muddled, never simple.
And it's all about money.
Yes.
Because they'd rather you have to, well, maybe not you, or at least the insurance, but not everybody has the insurance that can cover that, so that puts folks in a peculiar situation.
And the right to repair is more than just durable medical equipment. It's also John Deere and Apple and everything we use. We do not have the right to repair it. If you cannot repair it, you do not own it, you are renting it.
That's a good point.
So we do not own our wheelchairs, and we are expected to pretend to be happy. But if you want more information on the right to repair movement, go to uspirg.org. They're the ones pushing these bills across the country.
uspirg.org. There's a lot of information there. Get informed about what's going on, the information that is going to give you key information on how you can prevent people from being taken advantage of, especially folks that are living with medical needs.
And so the great thing, what we've discovered with doing what we're doing, is those of means and ability with disabilities have already been creating their own solutions, but they create them for themselves and then they go live their lives and nobody else gets that.
Right.
So we're trying to harvest as much of that as possible and create a repository where all of these nonprofits that are in almost every community in this country trying to repair wheelchairs because our systems don't, they can now take those designs and build them, and then they don't have to repair the same wheelchair every single month.
So more, I guess, modular things that work together as opposed to proprietary bits of part.
It's a little bit of both. So we utilize parts that we buy on the internet from other industries. The suspension is an airbag system that's for the seats of tractor trailer drivers to spare their spines.
Yeah, a good friend of mine's a truck driver. Very familiar with that.
About $400 you can buy that system.
But if you wanted to have the right to repair it,
you can repair them. They already give you the right to repair it. All the components you can buy.
Right, because it's not, this piece isn't necessarily proprietary to the chair.
Well, correct. It's proprietary to the company that builds the airbag system, but they make money on selling you parts. And you know what? My airline blew 3 times on the way to Palm Springs.
Oh my God.
And I ordered the parts on Amazon and they came to my hotel.
That's convenient.
And my body man, who is not a mechanic or a technician, fixed it.
That's awesome.
Right.
It's good to have good people.
And they try to convince you through these systems that you need a professional. And the overwhelming experience, not always, but overwhelming experience for myself and others, is that they show up with the wrong parts, they show up without the knowledge to actually make a repair. And then what?
Now my uncle has a difficult time. He's got Parkinson's, and with his equipment, it's very difficult to get quality trained people. He lives in a more rural part of Pennsylvania, and so for him to get trained technicians to actually work on it, it's a big time delay. And he's living by himself. He's in his mid-70s, and he's got severe Parkinson's, and he has to rely on the equipment, and when it doesn't work, he has to somehow manage to survive until they can arrive to do the repair. And sometimes they show up, they don't have the right part, they don't have the right piece. And worst of all, sometimes insurance won't cover it.
Yeah. So it's also bad when it's a disabled child, which I was. When your child's wheelchair breaks down, somebody's taking time off of work. If you're already in poverty, just think about it. I'm not even going to answer it for you. You will see parents roll over jobs because they're taking care of their child, because the equipment doesn't work. You will see that child miss school, maybe not even be able to attend school. And it's disturbing and it's disgusting.
I understand. A longtime family friend of mine has a special needs child, and there's times when the equipment that her child uses in his chair goes down and she can't make it in to work. I totally understand that, but people are always going to put their children first and their families first, of course. I completely understand that. But, can you talk a little bit more about what happens in these situations where people are left essentially by the wayside?
Often enough, they suffer and die slowly and horribly. There's no way around that. I don't like to sound negative. I don't want to make everybody cry. But the reality is, for my 28 years of advocating for others in the same kinds of situations, that's what I've seen over and over. I've talked to orthopedic surgeons that say, I'm sick of putting people back together to send them home to die in a wheelchair, because the wheelchair isn't good enough. PTs, OTs, they're on our side. If your doctors are saying we need this, why is anyone getting in the way? And, I do have two things, very New York things, to say to bureaucrats and shareholders that get between me and a free life. And each one of them is my middle finger.
I love that. I love that. Look, these people are so fixated on bureaucracy and bullcrap, and they're letting people by the wayside, because it doesn't matter whether you're, totally healthy or you have a disability. You're still a human being at the end of the day.
And you deserve that respect. I've actually overturned the staff in living care homes by teaching the residents to point their finger and demand to be treated like human beings. There is not one other aspect here that is very important to point out. With our medicine today, everyone is living through more of these conditions. Everyone is living to be older. And if you do not die suddenly from a bullet or a hammer or a heart attack, you will spend time in this kind of equipment. And when you're in that equipment, you will suffer. Unless it's one of our open hardware designs. What I'm sitting in right now is the prototype for the Endurance Power Chair. It has an oil bath transmission. It's a little overbuilt, but I'm okay with that.
Over-engineering is a good thing, in my opinion.
It's safety. Power is safety. But I can treat this like a four-wheeler in the Catskill Mountains in 3 days before I have to charge it. And then it only takes 6 hours to charge it.
You're better than most electric cars.
Yes. Using a lot of the same technology. And it's off-the-rack technology. It's a huge savings in the long run. One of the reasons for that is most wheelchairs today are going to the dump by the time they're 5 years old. This is easily a 30-plus year chair. It can be adjusted to your changing disability situation. If you're done with it, it can be adjusted for another person. It has longevity.
Yeah.
Furthermore, the thing about open hardware, and this is the kicker, if you take the seat system off of this and program it much like a Roomba, and put one of those old-fashioned turnstile lawnmowers on the front, you can program it to mow your lawn.
I think we have a few business ideas to discuss.
Yes.
But I'll say this, the planned obsolescence, the way that our economy has kind of transitioned into, it's very reminiscent of what you're talking about here with the medical equipment.
Everything's become a throwaway product. It's wish.com crap.
Yeah. I remember hearing stories about my grandparents back in the day when they bought their first refrigerator, they bought their first stove or their first car. It was going to be the fridge or the stove or the car that was going to last them a lifetime, and it did. I mean, I still know people that have an old home that was maybe their grandparents or whatever that they've now inherited. They got a stove in there from the 60s. The thing kicks ass. I got an old Sub-Zero fridge that's older than me. I don't have any problems. I've had to add a refrigerant to it once or twice, but aside from that, thing works like a charm. Nowadays, people buy these brand new appliances, and they fall apart within 5 years, and the warranty's out too by then.
I like to compare the Endurance to a cast iron pan. You know what the most green product we've ever developed was?
Cast iron pan.
Yeah, you know why?
Because you have to worry about cleaning it, washing it, and it holds forever.
Yeah, I'm using my great-great-grandparents' inherited cast iron pans.
Yeah, there's no Teflon that's coming off and giving you all sorts of hypercancers.
Yep.
Adds to the flavor. You just gotta know how to maintain it. Just don't use salt.
I prefer coconut oil.
There you go. See?
That's the best for curing the pain. Coconut oil or bacon.
I'm a bacon guy.
Yeah.
Both.
It's good stuff. But that's the thing, why are we moving away from tried and true and into this breakdown economy?
Marketing. Everything's a McDonald's commercial anymore. Actually, I say Burger King commercial. began this when I ran for office because of my opponent. Everything is a Burger King commercial these days. Have it your way, right? You know that you see the TV commercial. The burger looks beautiful, delicious. You salivate when you see it on the TV, right?
I know what happens
Right?
behind the scenes.
And then when you get through the drive-thru, what do you get? This flat, flavorless, greasy thing.
Well, you're not supposed to pull the burger.
Right? No, whatever. No color in the vegetables, right? It's not what's advertised, and that's a Burger King commercial.
That's a good way to put it.